Hi everyone, Jared here. Time for the market video update. We've had a very active, crazy, wild morning with all of the central bank action. You can see that all the headlines, the central bank, the coordinated intervention, so on and so forth, has really caused the markets to go crazy. We can see that the Dow is up over actually just under 450 points right now. So that was a big shock to the markets. The S&P up 46. Good grief. Oil took a bit of a jump as well, and gold's way up there. We're going to look at that, and we're going to talk a little bit about what all this central bank activity means. Basically, to sum it up, the Fed has decided to loan other central banks dollars at a cheaper rate, so that in turn the other central banks can loan their normal banks money at a lower rate. Right now, with this credit crunch going on, or borderline credit crunch going on in Europe, banks are getting very reluctant to lend to one another and to lend to anybody else, and it's starting to freeze up the markets. And so that's what the Fed went in and did. It kind of just opened up some channels of extra lending so that central banks can start lending at a cheaper rate to their own banks and kind of get that whole thing going so that things don't completely lock up. And that was a pretty positive thing in the way of how the markets perceived everything today. And to top that all off, we have we've seen lots of really positive numbers today. For example, the ADP report, look at that, an expectation of 131,000 came out at 206, topped off by the pending home sales for the U.S. looking for 1.4%, got 10.4%. That's a huge difference. We've got Australian retail sales coming up. That's going to be a big mover, and a little bit of a few other small things coming up after that as well. Coming into tonight, tomorrow, we have unemployment claims in the U.S. We have the ISM manufacturing PMI. That's a pretty important one. That gives us a little bit of an idea of what to really expect for non-farm payroll, as did the ADP report today. So far everything's looking pretty positive. So that's what we have coming up, as well as the manufacturing PMI for the UK. So there's lots of news everywhere. Let's talk about how it affects all the currencies and what to look at here. We got into a trade last night on this breakout. This was a nice, perfect little breakout. We got in and grabbed a couple of pips on this one. Fortunately, we had a trailing stop because it ended up only going about halfway to our take profit. Kicked us out in the middle of the night with about 15 pips profit, and then ran all the way up here and made this big, nice run. Now, the question is, what's going to happen with the euro? There's so many variables, so many unknown things, but as far as I can see, and as far as everything I've been able to research and find out, and my gut instinct tells me the euro's not going to be super okay. It's just not going to be. So what we're seeing happen right here, it was very nicely coordinated on the technicals, how this ran up very quickly and off this kind of double bottom. So what the euro's done, and it's run down, double bottomed right here, right about that 32 kind of 20 area, which was the start of the week, and then it's run all the way back up. And it's just, if we go from the fib level of this high to this low right here, it's run just past that 23 and just shy of that 38. But it's also hit the daily gap. I think that these pairs, like the euro dollar and pound dollar, are probably going to run up and hit the first fib on the other side of the gap before they turn around and come back down. And that would coordinate pretty nicely with being the 38 on here. So I think we're probably going to get another run into kind of this 13600 area, but I think the market's going to come off that pretty well, and it may not even go that high, but I think that would probably be the turning point if it did go that high. Here's an interesting thing that I'm looking at on the weekly chart. Look at the euro dollar. This is a big, like, 2-year long trend line, and the market's run up, bounced off it, broke through, big breakout right here towards the end of, or in the last couple of months, broke out, came all the way down and bounced off this 3220 area, and it has come right back up and bounced off this trend line. These are good little setups, and it's right back off that again. So I think we're just getting kind of a little initial bounce once again, and I think the euro is very, very shortly headed through this 132.20 by a good little chunk. So we're just going to kind of watch this retracement of this recent run here. We may get it all the way up into the 50. Who knows? I don't think we're going to get too much past the 38. But we're probably going to see a little more retracement and then a continuation on down through this level. And this euro should continue down nicely. Now, as far as what to do today, look for some retracement, look for some bounce and some continuation up. Like I said, we're probably going to hit that 38, and that would be about 13600. But the euro is kind of a mess right now, and so the long-term picture should be selling into the rally. So this thing is going to run up just a little bit higher. Look for some selling opportunities up around 13500, about 60 pips above where it is, and even into 13600. That's about the best I think we have on the euro right now. It's bouncing along a lot of kind of crucial levels, so I think that's going to be a good area to work with. Pound dollar, same kind of thing. The pound dollar, here was our descending trend line from yesterday. You can see it broke the heck out of that thing. We grabbed a couple of pips from our pending order last night on that, and it ran up nicely and made its way all the way up here. Pound dollar, same thing. Here's a little kind of quick double bottom, and then here's our bigger double bottom right here. So it ran all the way up, and here it is just right back to that level again. Came right back down and touched it, and it's bounced up off that, and I think it's going to make a break as well. If you look at the weekly chart, we have the same kind of situation going. Big ascending trend line right here, made a break. Came down and hit the, kind of this recognizable support right here, bounced right back up to that trend line, and here it is right back down again. So I think these pairs are just experiencing some retracement, both euro dollar and pound dollar, of this recent movement, and they're going to start heading right back down again. You can see from these highs right here, the pound went right up to that 50% retracement, and it's right back down again. Again, I think that this pound will probably get up into that 50 and maybe even test that 61, but I think it's coming down from there. So I won't be surprised if the pound hits about 158.50. It's right at about 157.00 right now. So I think it's got another 100, maybe 150 pips of going up before it starts coming back down. So what I'm going to be keeping an eye on here on this pound dollar is just, you can see on this 5-minute chart, we've got some little descending trend lines that we can start watching for, and it's kind of bouncing along this. So I'm going to look for just some little breaks of these. You can see these little highs right here, about 157.10. If we get that in the Asian session, that 157.10 breaks, we should be able to grab a pretty easy 20 pips out of that. So that's what I'd be keeping my eye on there. Not really looking for any selling opportunities at this point. Euro yen, this was the channel from yesterday. Kind of made a break, and it's trying to run back up. I think this euro yen is going to do a similar type thing. It's kind of got a little bit of a higher low here, so the euro yen looks like it's trying to tip up just a little bit. But remember, our 104.35 level made a break of that into that 4-hour gap, and here it is right back down again. So I think it's going to make another run at it and try to test that level. So look for some quick little runs into these highs, but the euro yen's been a little tricky lately. Pound yen's looking a little bit better. We have this ascending trend line right here, and you can see that the daily chart looks pretty similar to that euro yen daily chart, but it's running up pretty well, and it looks like it's going to give us a little bit of a run. So again, try to trade this pound yen into these highs with stops just below this area, and be very aware of any possible breakouts. If this starts to break this ascending trend line, look for some sell opportunities around 121.40, right in that general area there. But for the most part, I think we're going to be looking for some buying opportunities back up into these highs of about 122.25 and so on. Aussie dollars run a big chunk. Probably going to stay out of that one for a little bit, and gold has run up past this level. This was our level from the daily video yesterday as well. Gold ran all the way back up above that and really kind of pushed those other pairs. So that's what we're looking at. We've got some great setups and some good pairs coming up, so keep an eye on things, and we'll have some more trades posted in the chat. Thanks, everyone.